Hello.
Hello, happy Friday.
Oh, it is Friday, isn't it?
Yep. Yes, it is.
I can't keep track of the days
And
anymore.
it's
They're all just blending together.
together. Um, uh, it is, and it's July 3rd. So there's a lot of people that are not. I was wondering why nobody was emailing me back or like answering
Oh,
calls.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think today is the holiday,
yeah,
official holiday.
yeah. I mean, the bank should have been my tip off in the morning. But I
Right.
was so like on my to-do list, like go, 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 that everything just kind of, I was like, why isn't the bank open? I'm like, this is just stupid. Leave it to them. Uh,
All right. I'm trying to share us to my other page here. I don't want to write a post, yo. I just want to share it. Is it just me, or is there no consistency that Facebook just like changes stuff without telling you? And it's like, this isn't the way that it was last week. Why is it different now?
Um, I think it's I think all of the system like Zoom and I think all of them are a little weird right now because there's so many people on them and doing different things. So,
Yes. I feel that
because I
the
noticed,
Mercury retrograde is not helping us with technology at all right now.
no, no, there's a couple of things I've broken already here at the house too. Or maybe it was just due, but yeah. Henrik's like, what else are you gonna do? Sorry. Yikes. Oh my goodness.
All right. So today we've got 4th of July weekend. We've got Friday holiday. We've got Mercury retrograde. I do believe that it is also a full moon or close to it. So
Wow.
prepare for some madness, I think.
No, some good stuff. Some some
I,
clearing things.
I would be open to that. I'd be open to some good stuff.
Some clearing. Just kind of getting rid of the, the
Clearing is good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's time. It's time.
Yeah.
Plus, in Phoenix and Arizona, it's so dang hot. So I feel like right now, like the heat is just kill everything. Just, you know, even that nasty virus, just kill everything.
Kill
And
it,
that's
kill it all with fire and just clear it out for new growth.
new growth. Exactly.
I'm totally open to that.
Yes.
So I think we're going to talk today about investing in your business. Um,
Yes.
yeah, we've had the conversation, and we've had the conversation with other people, and I've seen the conversation happen a lot online in forums and things like that, about investing in your business. And one of the things that we see all the time and that we hear all the time, especially when it comes to starting out in real estate investing and specifically starting out in wholesaling, is people are super interested in it because it's, I would say it's low capital. A lot of people like to say it's free, you don't need any money. I don't think that you don't need any money. You don't need a
Yeah.
lot of money. You
A
don't
lot
need
of money.
buying property money, but you
Right.
still need business startup money to an
You
extent.
need yeah, absolutely. You need a little something. I mean, especially if you are going to start with a wholesaling thing and you're going to door knock or, or if you are going to do phone calls, and obviously you're like your cell phone or maybe a separate cell phone or so little things like that will make a difference too for startup costs.
Totally, totally. And it's one of those things, I think, I get it. When people are starting a new business, especially because wholesaling seems to attract people who are looking for something that it gets off the ground quickly, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of times it ends up being people who were in a situation like mine, where I started out pretty much with nothing because I was laid off from a previous job.
Yeah.
And I was at wit's end, and I was like, I'm not going to do another W-2. And I just made that decision. So a lot of people coming into wholesaling are kind of in that space. Uh,
Hmm.
And so it's, you know, it can be daunting because people want to be able to start it with virtually nothing. And we wanted to just clarify what it is that you're realistically looking at, right? You know, because there's all kinds of, you know, lots of gurus and YouTubers and whatever say you can start with nothing. I mean, if you're real creative, you probably can, but you need a little bit. And so some of the things that we talk about, you know, are basics, right? So like your LLC, you know, it's, I feel like it's sort of 50-50. Some people who are experienced say you don't need an LLC right away because you're going to be building a pipeline and it's going to take you maybe a little while to get your first deal anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you may not need the LLC immediately. Other people say don't even start doing anything until you have the LLC set up so that you don't have to go back and clean up, you know, taxes later.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think if you've got, you know, the cash to go and you could do an LLC online, it doesn't have to be, especially if you're doing this in the beginning on your own, or you don't have like a team, you know, you don't have to worry about having an attorney write up, you know, a really in-depth articles of organization and, you
Yeah.
know, all of your, you know, terms and regulations and things like that. That will come to your business later. You won't need that necessarily when you're first starting. The basics that cover you in an LLC are probably fine. And so that being the case, you might just be able to do it online for like, I don't know, it's like $150 or something, maybe depending on what state you're in.
Yeah. I think, I mean, there is a little bit to say about maybe creating maybe a list for folks. We should probably do that, and like kind of just a bulleted point list where
Yeah.
what should you consider maybe, you know, in the beginning. I do think it's just good to ask for referrals too. Like we always say, you have ask questions and ask how people have started, and what was like their main thing to, what did they implement first
Yeah.
in order for them to kind of kick off and do their thing. To me, because speaking for myself, I knew that I was going to door knock, so that my investment was my vehicle.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I made sure that my car was in tip-top shape so
Mhm.
that I could drive the amount of miles that I drove, you know, in the first 2 years. Um, and to some people, they're like, "Oh, that's not, you know, that's a, no, it's a beating on your car." And I don't think, I kind of had the foresight of, because I like driving anyways. Um, but I knew that my car had to have like a complete tune-up, that everything had to be running completely smoothly, because I was going to be leaving out of Arizona, you know, in and out of Phoenix traffic, which is a whole other story.
Right.
Yeah, it's just because everybody's from everywhere. It's like a mishmash of driving. But I think your vehicle, and then keeping track, like My IQ, those little apps,
Mhm.
those were also initially for me to be able to keep my mileage, because at the end of the year, or taxes, right? Especially because I'm doing them right now, those little things come in super, super handy to have, and to know that that's the investment that you put into your business, and that you're gonna write it off.
Yeah, totally. Again, basics, right?
Yeah.
So the stuff that you need when you're starting off. So knowing what your strategy is going to be coming in is probably also going to make a really big difference in terms of what do you need really to invest. Because if you're door knocking, for example, yeah, you want to make sure that you have a car that's in good enough condition that it can handle having a lot of miles put on it. Because Angie and I, when we started, when we were door knocking, we probably averaged 4 to 5 hours a day in the car
Mhm.
easily.
Yeah.
And we were all over town. You know, so it's not just freeway driving, it's stop and go driving. And we started in summer. We started in August in
Yeah.
Arizona. So you're driving around in triple digits for 5 hours a day. You know, so you want to make sure that like Angie said, you've got, your car's in good condition, you've got it all tuned up, you don't have to worry about tires and things like that. The last thing you want to be doing, I promise you, is on the side of the road changing a tire in 115 degrees in August.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
No. And I mean, a lot of people don't think about it because your vehicle, if you're not used to it, your vehicle becomes your office. So even everything in there, like your letters, your paperwork, the Post-its, the little crate that I used to carry with all my little files, and the clipboards, the holder for my phone, all of these things that kind of just obviously there's maybe a good $200 that I know that I spent so that I knew I had exactly, my hands could reach for different things at a moment's notice.
Right.
Because what you needed, your supplies.
Right. And I know that I know some people use apps, even if they're door knocking or they're driving for dollars, they will use apps. I know PopStream is a pretty popular one. There's a few more out there. To be honest, I haven't used any of the apps, so I don't know what their fees are like, but from what I understand, they're affordable based on what everybody else is talking about in the forums and such. But that's one of the ways that you can also generate or tap into leads, because that's a source that you're going to need, right? To work this business. So if you're going to, whatever it is that you're doing strategy wise, if you're door knocking, if you're sending out marketing, if you're cold calling, you need a list of people that you're trying to reach, one way or another. So a lot of people will use the apps that generate different lists that I believe they source from mostly public record and, like vacancies that the post office reports and things like that. I think they just aggregate that information.
Yeah. Yep.
So, that's one thing that people do when they're looking for lead sources. Another thing that you can do is go to title companies, and they provide foreclosure lead sources. And again, what they charge varies based on a number of things. Do you have an existing relationship? Have you done business with them before? Some just charge a flat fee, and anybody can buy them. Others, if they have an existing relationship with you because you've closed a few deals with them, they may give you the list for free on the condition that when you close properties, you use their services.
Right.
So that type of thing can vary. Some people go to the courthouse and get different lists from the courthouse. Those lists vary in price. There's probate lists, there's tired landlord, they're eviction, they're filing for eviction lists. So those are some things, and all of those have a different cost. So when you decide who that you're going to market to, then you want to keep in mind, what do you want to spend? If you're looking for completely free leads, there are ways to do that. I actually have seen a number of people who they basically do virtual driving for dollars with Google Earth. So they find an area that they're interested in, and they go up and down all the streets on Google Earth. And what they're able to do is determine, potentially vacant properties, look at the address, put that in their spreadsheet or whatever it is that they're using, right? And so that is a totally free resource that you can use. It's
That's
probably
time.
So one of the things that I was getting ready to say is something to think about when you're considering investing in your business is you've got a couple different ways that you can invest. You've got money, obviously, that you can invest. And if you have a low budget and you need to be really careful, then that's going to affect, obviously, what kinds of things you can buy into. But time is also an investment, right? And so, so when we started and we were door knocking, we spent a lot of time. That was our biggest investment. but we were able to do that because we were just starting out. As we got busier and busier, we shifted more into, let's invest money into certain areas of our business for more efficiency and spend less time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then taking the time then to develop the relationships, which is a whole other investment of time.
Absolutely.
And investing in relationships to kind of put you on to the next level. But yeah, there is something to say about making, as you get more into it, and like Lisa said, with the Google Earth stuff, I mean, you can only do that for so long. After a while, you kind of start to, you yourself will know, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like I gotta, figure where am I gonna get more lists, more properties, whatever it is. And then you start to pay for things. And I personally think that lists or getting leads from different people, or getting on a mailing list, that sort of thing, even if it costs a little bit, it's not much. But that will make a major difference. The investment of time, though, I think is probably the most, because I don't think you can put a monetary value on the investment of time.
No.
And
it's going to be different for everyone,
mm-hmm.
right? Because it's going to depend on so many factors. How many leads do you have? What's your system like? Are you doing everything by hand? Are you doing other things? Is this a side hustle? So, do you only have a certain amount of time? Yeah, there's a lot of different things to consider when you're starting, but those initial investments are important. And it's important to understand coming into it that even if you can start with really low cost or almost no cost, you're going to get to a point where those avenues are not going to give you enough to get the volume up that you need to do. So, I don't know anybody who's been in the business for a long period of time that continues on with only free resources, and not investing very much money. And in fact, what I see a lot of successful people do is their first couple of deals, they definitely use some of the profit that they've made on those deals to put right back into the business immediately, so that they can get momentum and they can progress forward. So, you get your first deal, and maybe before you were thinking, well, I don't want to pay for all these different lists and, all these different softwares and a CRM and whatever else. But once you start hitting a certain amount of volume, you'll realize that you need a CRM, because doing everything in a spreadsheet at some point when you've got so much, it's going to be overwhelming. Yeah. And what's going to happen is things will fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
So understanding the different things that you need to invest in as you grow, and then just being okay with that from the beginning, knowing that that's going to be part of what you put your money into, I think is a big deal. And, there are going to be other things too. I mean, we've invested a couple of times into different educational type programs or seminar, things that were like subject specific, things like that. We've spent money on things like that so that we could learn new areas that we didn't know. And that's one of the really controversial things that I see online is people are so mad. They are so mad that they have to spend any money whatsoever on education or learning a niche, or going to a seminar. A lot of people think all of that stuff should be free.
No.
They're not gonna get super valuable information for free. There's a lot of good information out there that's free. However, it has to be pretty basic for a bunch of different reasons, right? I mean, first of all, the real estate laws are different in every single state. So the people who are going to be giving you free information, the information is going to be geared towards only where they're working and what they know. They're not going to go learn a bunch of stuff and spend a bunch of money and then produce videos and not get paid for any of it and just put it out there for free, because that's going to cost them to do that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So yes, you're going to get some free information, but you're going to be limited. And at some point, when you need more details, when you need more specifics, and when you need something that is more geared towards particular niches or particular details that you need to know about how to do certain areas, certain types of deals, that's stuff that you're going to be paying for, and it's worth it.
Yeah, it is definitely worth. And I feel like has to be. So I know that, I mean, you and I have obviously invested in a lot of education, a lot. So, but it's by far some of the best top-notch education that you can have. But we knew, because we did the research and we did the, we asked around. I feel like we were very much about, how is this really going to help me in the end, and how long do I have access to these folks? And obviously we have lifetime access, but I feel like when there's something out there that tells you attend this seminar for free, like, no, don't. There's no, just fine, do it. Yeah, I'm just like, they're gonna bait and switch at some point too. Just know that there's something that they're gonna sell you later, and that might be a good thing. But for the most part, a lot of the free stuff, I feel like that's out there. It's really not. I don't, maybe there's a nugget here and there, but I really do think that you have to invest the time into the research and really figuring out like who is who in the world of like the real estate investment arena, and what are the kinds of trainings that they're doing, and if it costs a little bit of money, or if you have to join a group like we're the Women's Real Estate Network, which there's a fee to it. But I have to tell you, like, the caliber of people and the caliber of education that you get through some of these things where you do pay a little bit, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Because there's a seriousness to it. Because you have to make, you yourself know that you need to invest into your business. When you make that commitment, you are serious about it. You're just not willy-nilly just, out there trying to do something. No, you're gonna do something.
Right. And that's a really good point that you bring up, because here's the thing. Once you've gotten into it a little bit, right, and you have a little bit of momentum, and maybe you've done a few deals and you've decided that you're sticking to this, like this is your business now. Mm-hmm. What starts to happen is you're looking for areas that you can drill down and gain like expertise in, so that you can replicate over and over the same results, right? Because nobody wants to be in business and then guessing at everything that they're doing. And like, sometimes they get deals and sometimes they don't, because doing business on your own is enough of a roller coaster without adding to it by not being able to produce consistent results. So once you start getting the idea that, okay, I need to understand a certain number of things in order to gain consistent results, you're looking for people, and you're looking for mentors, and you're looking for teachers or coaches, whatever those, those entities are, that can give you that really in-depth and specific information. And you're going to end up paying for that. The thing mm-hmm. is, though, when you've graduated from just the basics into, I need this more in-depth information, the only way to make it feasible for the serious people to come in and learn what they need to learn, quite frankly, is to keep out the riffraff. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth, because there are a lot of what we call tourists or tire kickers that love, they just want to know all about what's real estate investing like, and they want to go to every seminar, and they want to hang out with every group, and they don't want to commit, they don't want to make a decision, because they just want to know what it's like, and they want more and more and more information. Well, yeah. Those people take up time and energy, and they ask questions, and they how do I want to say this? They take up a lot of space.
They manipulate the arena, and the time around you. And sometimes even the people that are that are your mentors or your partnerships, it just gets to be like a kind of a domino effect, and it's not good. It just
Yeah.
doesn't look good, doesn't feel good.
Right. So what happens is when you've got somebody who can't make a decision about actually jumping into the business, but they want to go to every single, you know, real estate thing that's offered, and then they want to dominate the conversation the entire time. Those of us who are doing actual business and are there for a purpose or for a specific topic or for something that we're trying to learn, we don't want to wait on the tire kickers to get their question answered, that, by the way, they've asked at 7 other groups and probably have gotten the same answer, right? Because we're there for a reason.
You're
And
so right.
it's
It's
true.
just so, I know, it's just, but a lot of people won't say it because it's just because we know those people, right? Like,
Right, right.
so I know it is just, and I'm very diplomatic and just kind of, I don't like to stir the pot very much. So, but I know there are some people though that I'm like, oh my goodness, like if you see them coming a mile away, you're like, oh, here we go. So
And yes, and let me clarify, right? Let me clarify, because the thing is, I'm not saying that new people shouldn't have places to go to get their questions answered, because
right,
they should. And there are a lot of groups that are geared towards that. And I get that. And I get that it's a big jump to make. And so, yeah, sometimes people need to go to a couple different places and hear different people's experiences before they make
mhm,
a decision. But here's what I can tell you. We've been in business for 5 years, and I see people who have before we jumped into our education, who will still show up today to a networking event or a meetup group or some kind of seminar that's topic specific, that have been thinking about being a real estate investor since before we started. And they're
yeah,
still asking the crap that they were asking 5 years ago when I didn't know what they were talking about because I was new. And now I'm over here going, bro, it's been 5 years. Like, make a decision
yeah, I know,
and quit
I
wasting
know,
everybody's time, because you've been asking the same questions for 5 years and none of us have time for it anymore.
right. Well, not only that, I feel like, I mean, I'm not saying like in this business that image is like the be all end all of things, because it's not. I mean, there's a lot of real estate investors out there in the valley that do a ton of work that we have no idea about, and they don't need recognition or, kind of to their horn thing. So, and that's great, good for them. But you do, when you become that person, and because I don't want to deviate too much from the subject, but when you become that person, and then people start to kind of know you as that the guy or the gal that shows up at these events and just asks a ton of questions, never really does anything, tries to get as much from you and like
Yeah.
dig from you so that they can maybe somehow do something on their own, and it doesn't happen, and then so then you become that person, and that's just not, it's not a good place to be,
No.
because there's a stigma to it. And then when you do wait, let's say you do want to get something done at some point, some folks, it's like the boy that cried wolf kind of thing, you get that label, and it's just not,
Yeah.
it's
Because
not,
word travels, right? Word travels. And,
yeah,
you know, I mean, there are a ton of people who do the thing where it's like you're at a networking event and something, and if you have slightly more experience than anybody else, you will have the new people that will come to you and say, "Can I take you for coffee and pick your brain?" And what they mean is, I want you to give me a bunch of free information that other people have told me that I need to pay to access. And I'm looking for someone who will just tell me that information for free. And that's just not fair to
right,
everybody else,
no,
right? For a bunch of reasons. When you're trying to build a business, every every hour that you're not spending on your business, that you're spending doing something for somebody else, is an hour that you're not getting paid,
right,
frankly, right? And if you have a successful business and somebody's like, mentor me for free, you still need to work in your business to get paid.
yeah, absolutely,
So if you're taking time out to mentor somebody else, Now, I mean, once you get to the point where you're a millionaire real estate investor, you can do whatever you want with your time. If you feel like donating your time, that is absolutely a wonderful thing to do. But not all of us are in that position. We can't do that.
No,
And that
no.
isn't meant to offend anyone, because let me tell you that people get very offended when you say, I don't have time. And maybe that's because they don't understand what it's like running your own business, but time is precious.
Yeah,
It really is. It's a resource.
it's
And
a massive resource.
yeah. And so, the point that we're trying to make here is that paying for things, paying for education and knowledge can be at some, in some ways a barrier to entry, because there needs to be a level of commitment. You need to be serious. And if you're going in, especially in a group setting, the expectation is that everyone who's there has paid money to be there, because everyone intends on pulling their weight,
Yeah,
and being respectful of everyone, else that's there. And so, yes, there's an intentional barrier. And yes, you should be prepared to spend some money on those things when your business gets to the place where those are the things that you need to advance.
Yeah.
Because it just is the way that it is. And I have a difficult time understanding the number of people who are frustrated by it, because I have yet to hear anyone say, all I want is to be a lawyer and I don't understand why I have to pay for law school.
I know. God.
Nobody says that. I mean,
No.
they might say I need to find a law school that I can afford, or they may be looking at scholarships. They might be looking at what opportunities are afforded them. But I have yet to hear somebody like legitimately throw a tantrum that law school isn't just free. There's a reason law school isn't just free, right? And so just
Med
because,
school, like, yeah, some
yeah,
of the bigger, the bigger majors, engineering, all of that. Yeah,
yeah,
no.
like the things where you go and you learn a very specific skill set and you come out able to do that skill set, right?
Mhm.
Those things don't exist for free, because all of the experts that have to come in and teach you how to do what they know how to do is valuable. And if they just spend all their time doing that and not making any money for themselves, they can't survive. Um, so it's the same thing in real estate investing. It's just not formalized the way that other careers are formalized with like a college education. Um, so, with that being said, prepare to spend money to advance your career and your knowledge, because those things are going to be really important as you progress. And spending money on tools as well, systems. You will get to a point where doing everything by hand or keeping notebooks or spreadsheets is not going to work for you, and you might need to purchase tools and systems to make your business more efficient. And that's something else that we've done.
Right. The systems part. That's where I mean, no, I think we kind of knew that in the beginning, like that at some point we were
Yeah,
going to get to a place where we're going to need to implement some things into our business,
yeah,
or we're not going to make it.
yeah.
Because yes, the pile of paperwork and the spreadsheets and that, oh my gosh. And I just found a box of like old drive lists that and I thought, how do I even like work through all of this? But no, I think that's one of the biggest things, to invest in, to research, to do the time investment for research on the systems that you might need is critical for your
Yeah.
business.
Yes, absolutely. Anything you can do to make things more organized, more efficient, easier to track, because you'll get to a place where you'll have a lot of things to track, and you won't be able to do that in a notebook or a spreadsheet even. So those things are all going to be important, and they're all things that over time you buy into and you add things to your tool belt. It's not necessarily that you need to come in and do all of this up front, but as you get more experienced, you'll see the different areas where people at your level are putting, putting different tools and systems and education and all these different things into their business.
Yeah.
And so having, you know, the willingness to research those things, vet them, decide what works for you, where you're at, and invest that money, it's going to give you a return. Absolutely. I think if you're not willing to spend that money, you're not willing to do those things, your progress is going to be much slower, which means that probably your income stream is going to take a lot longer to build up too. So,
Yeah.
you know, there are a lot of people who are afraid to spend money because they think, well, that's coming out of my pocket and that could have been profit. But if you spend that money, the whole point is to make larger profits.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
You have to give a little bit.
yeah. So, I mean, and part of that, frankly, is delayed gratification, you know, because if, you know, if somebody wants to, if somebody had a really nice profit on an assignment fee, they might want to go on vacation instead of spend money on, you know, a couple of things to advance their business. And I mean, going on vacation is great, but what kind of, you know, what return are you going to get
Right.
for that? You know, because if you spent the money on the other things first, and now you can do more deals, and now you get, you know, 2 or 3 times what you'd gotten before because your volume is better, then go on vacation.
Then go on a bigger vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that should be, you know, the thought process.
It should be. It isn't a lot of times. Some of us get a little carried away sometimes, and we get our profits. We're like, woohoo, let's do this or that, you know. And I mean, I know that in the beginning, I thought that was great, so I would buy myself like a new pair of shoes or like something. You know, now that I think about it, I'm like, why? Like that. So then I started to think of like, okay, when I buy a pair of shoes, maybe I should buy a pair of really good sneakers so that I can, when I door knock, like my feet don't get tired, kind of thing, right? Or sneakers that I can actually go through the weeds and trash and, you know, that sort of thing. So that's what I was like, okay, that makes me feel good because I'm doing something I like, shopping, but I'm actually buying something that is useful for my business. Because you start to kind of think about the uniform that you use when you door knock, should you door knock. Right. Same thing with rehabbing. You start to kind of figure out, okay, so what are the clothes that I use when I rehab? So you kind of start to kind of do, you know, it's just, yeah, it's a little bit, it's fun. I think it's fun as you kind of start to explore and really find your niche and then really seeing like, okay, so what do I need to make my business better and to make it profitable? I mean, from buying shoes to the app on your phone, like, it's fun. I think it's fun.
It is. And, you know, so I recently learned, this was a concept that was a little bit new to me, is that there are a lot of people who take profit from one investment and they reinvest that into another type of investment that works for them without them having to do anything active to it. So we recently found out that when we did our first flip a few years ago, if we had taken $5,000 of the profit from that first flip and purchased Microsoft stock, we would have 18K today.
Yeah.
And that would have just been doing nothing while we were still rehabbing houses, while we were still, you know, all we would have had to do was take the 5 minutes to do the one purchase and let that profit sit there, right? And then it's running in the background for us. I was a little salty when I found out about that. I was like, wait, what?
Yep, I know. Because we don't know and nobody tells you.
Right.
Especially if you come from, I mean, I think our upbringing, I mean, my parents didn't, I was thinking about that earlier today and last night, how my parents definitely sheltered me when it came to finances and things. Like we always had everything. We were pretty spoiled, to all right honesty, like we were spoiled. But my parents worked really, really hard to kind of give us what, you know, what we wanted and what we, you know, typical high school, teenage kids kind of thing, you know, We had vehicles. We both had vehicles. We both had summer money. Like we both did all of this stuff. I mean, my parents didn't even want me to get a job when I was younger. Like they refused to let me work because that's not what I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be going to school, and they didn't want me to pay taxes. So this whole thing. Anyway, my first job I had to sneak around my parents, and I would have to get dressed in the bathroom before leaving the restaurant so that I could get home, so they didn't know that I had a job, kind of thing. Because I had to teach myself these things. Nobody teaches you about, taking a little bit of your money from a little profit that you might have, money, the stimulus check maybe that they send out,
Right.
and put it into some sort of an investment so that that part of your business grows.
Yeah.
People don't talk about that.
No, we just recently started learning about the paths that people use, where it's like, oh, I make active income in this business, then I roll some of that profit and I put it over here, and then it works in the background for me, and then I take some of the profit and I put it over here, and they can do all kinds of things with this. And like that concept was new to us, because the idea of investing back into our business, we learned, and that's what we're talking about today. And then there was, now we know the concept of taking and investing into something else. And, that's a little bit off topic. I didn't mean to throw us off, but
no,
because the idea,
right.
It's because when you have, say you made a 20K profit on a flip, and you take 5 of it, and at that time, especially if you're still building your active income, it feels like, I can't just take $5,000 and go sock it away someplace,
right?
And because you feel like, oh God, I don't know when my next paycheck is coming. But looking back on it now, had we had the discipline to do that, we would have been in a different position right now. And it's the exact same thing as reinvesting into your business.
Absolutely.
If you're looking at, well, I don't want to spend $2,000, on this education or whatever it might be, that you're looking at that might get you to the next level, making the decision to elevate yourself to that next level is going to get you so much more than hanging on to that little bit of profit and thinking that you can't spend in that way.
Right. Yeah. I think it's still, all of this still has to do with a lot of the investing in your business, because when you have a real estate investment business, that's not the be all. My suggestion to people out there, it should not be your be all end all. You cannot put all your eggs in this one particular basket. True. Ever. It's real estate. You don't know what it's going to do. And even though things have gone great, you just don't know, depending on what's happening, current events around the world or here in the States. So you have to have, like Lisa said, and the way, again, when I grew up, nobody told me that there was, I knew there was a stock market, but I didn't know how to buy stocks. None of, you don't know, you just know you get a paycheck and you put it away, or you spend it like I did. But it's like, this all has to do with your business. You have to have some sort of like we said, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. So you're investing into all of this as like one big, I don't know what to call it, conglomerate, like corporation. That's what you should be thinking about. Your business is not just one little thing. It can be a myriad of things.
Yes.
It should be. It should be.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, because we talk a lot about, we're addressing a large audience of people who are maybe just starting out, right? And so if you're starting out and you're looking to do one thing that's going to generate good active income, everybody is interested in wholesaling for that. But my opinion is that wholesaling shouldn't be the entirety of your business, because there are parts of the market cycle where wholesaling isn't as great as it, when you're, when you're in a seller's market, wholesaling can be tricky, right? When you're in a buyer's market, wholesaling looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of properties available because of whatever is happening in the market cycle, then wholesaling is great. In the situation that we're in right now in Phoenix, where there's extremely low inventory, wholesaling isn't, it's not like we've just got properties coming out of our ears today.
No,
You know,
no.
are there properties out there? Of course. Yeah, there definitely are. But do you want to have other things happening as well so that you're not just reliant on the one thing, right?
Exactly.
And so, to us, working different strategies within real estate investing is an important tool to learn, because we started off with wholesaling, but we also do rehabs and we also have rental properties. And Angie has also done short-term rentals like Airbnb. I haven't done that just yet, but there's all these different strategies, and learning the different strategies and what is good in the different market cycles is huge. And right now we're in like this weird anomaly where we've got a global pandemic that has affected the economy and shut everything down. So that affects our business strategies, right? Because we work
Yeah.
foreclosures. Foreclosures are suspended right now.
Yeah.
We couldn't have planned for that. We didn't know that that was coming. So we had to adjust our business based on what's happening with that. So things that you don't expect can pop up.
Yeah.
And so the more diversity that you have as you grow your business, the easier that is to navigate.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like a lot of it, when we talk about, again, it's all about investing within your business, sis, plural, and the investing of time, and you kind of figuring out, okay, what else am I supposed to do, or what do I add to my business? A lot of it does, I feel, it comes from the conversations that you have, taking the time, the conversations that you have with other folks out there, and the relationships that you're building within the real estate investing community or outside of the real estate investing community. Because I do feel a lot of us, when you start off and you start to meet the like-minded people, that's where you get a lot of the other information of like, well, that so-and-so is doing that.
Right.
I should probably look into that, or how do they do it, So, and again, all because you've already invested time and money into your real estate business, them sharing something else with you, they know you're serious. You're already serious about your real estate business, but now you're going to take on something else or just look into another kind of strategy. Building those friendships, relationships, partnerships, conversations. I mean, that is a massive, massive investment, I feel.
Absolutely. And what you can gain from that is you can gain reciprocity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you build good relationships. And so I watched this happen when the pandemic started. A bunch of my friends that had Airbnbs or short-term rentals, whatever you want to call them, all lost their bookings at the same time because people stopped traveling. But what happened was all those people got together and problem solved and talked about what to do. And people had referrals for longer term renters, right? Because not everything stopped. So like there were people, that had to come here, for example, for like contract work. And maybe they needed a 3-month place to stay, and an Airbnb would work because you can't really go get an apartment for 3 months. They don't really start you with a month-to-month thing, right? That's not always available. So, people were able to all of a sudden change their marketing strategy and go out there and talk with other people and find the right clients so that they could shift gears and do something a little bit different. They had a property available. They just had to figure out what it was that they could do with it at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It was an interesting time, because that is, I think, where the investment on relationships, and that was by far probably one of the best things that all of us, because there was different groups that got together and kind of just, like you said, brainstormed and figured out, okay, so how do we do this? How do we help each other? Who do we refer to? How do we refer people to each other? It made a massive difference. Granted, I sold mine already because my guy that was there long term, basically finished out his lease. And I knew that my sublease was going to end anyways. So I thought, okay, this is a good time for me to just kind of step out. But then from this relationship building and investing my time and energy in building relationships and partnerships, I sold my property to somebody else.
Yeah.
So, so it's kind of, you start to learn this as you're going. I feel like as the more and more you do things, I would have never considered, I would have just thrown in the towel and said, oh my God, I've lost all my bookings.
Right.
I don't know what to do now. I'm just going to go, kind of take out all the furniture and break my lease, and it's going to suck. My credit's going to look bad, blah, blah, blah. No, it was like, it was this completely different mindset. How do I make this work? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? What do I need to put into it to make it better? So I had to find paper towels, toilet paper, and hand sanitizer, no matter what, because I had to have that in there. So it was you make a great point. You kind of, you level up in that way where the partnerships come in big time.
Yeah. And the investment that you make into relationships is an important one as well. And you have decisions to make there, because you're going to come across a lot of different types of people when you're working in real estate investing. And, there's always a community aspect to it. Like Phoenix Metro is a large area, right? Phoenix is a big city at this point, but a lot of the real estate investors in Phoenix know who each other are. Even if we don't know each other personally and we've never sat down and had coffee together, people know other people's names. People know other people's LLC names. People are in the same social media groups and meetup groups and networking groups. So you kind of know who's who, right? And you make a decision about what people you are going to formulate relationships with. And sometimes that decision is based on what level are you at, right? Maybe you want to find people who are only 1 or 2 levels ahead of you, because if you're trying to talk to the guy who's 10 levels ahead of you, there's so much of a gap there that you might not really benefit, because you may not be able to tap into some of the things that they're able to do yet, right? But yeah, exactly. you may be looking at someone who's a couple levels ahead of you, so that you know what it looks like to get to those next steps, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other part of it is it can be tricky, because you've got a lot of different personality types. You've got people who approach the business very differently. Phoenix is known for being pretty Wild West, unregulated. So there are people who do things that are, so I would say a lot of real estate investing falls into a gray area in terms of, you're able to use a lot of creative strategies and things like that, and there's not a lot of regulation. But the gray at some point starts to taper off and get shady, right? And there are people who operate in those areas. That's their niche.
Yeah.
And that's their niche because they're able to get away with it, right, with the way that things are currently.
Yeah.
So that's something that you want to pay attention to, right?
Yeah.
Because some people might not know that someone is doing something that's shady and maybe on the verge of what could happen legally if somebody decided to complain about this. And if you don't understand that that's the realm they're playing in, maybe you really don't want to be involved in that. Maybe that's a little too high risk for you.
Yeah. And you should pay attention to, I think I'm a big intuition person, but I feel like you kind of know when there's something that doesn't really jive real well. You can kind of see the different types of people and how they work.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because I have had the experience of going against my own intuition with working with somebody, because I have worked with people who had a great business plan. And so when I looked at the plan, the systems, the strategy, all of that made a lot of sense to me. And I was like, this all looks really like this is something that I want to be involved in.
Mhm.
except that the person that I was dealing with did not align with me in terms of like value systems and that type of thing. And so basically it's like, would I like hang out with this person just to hang out with them because I really like them, or would I trust this person with something knowing that our values are vastly different? Now I
Mhm.
knew the answers to those questions, and I overrode my own intuition, because my thinking at the time was, this opportunity in this system is more important than lining up with this person from the standpoint of values and integrity and morals. And that was the wrong decision to make. I invested totally in the wrong space. And I remember, Angie, you and I did at the beginning, yeah, I think it was at the beginning of this year, right? We did the workshop for your annual
Oh, yeah.
business plan.
Yeah.
So I remember, and I've done workshops like that before, but I remember sitting in the workshop and doing the very first part of it, which is like, what is your vision and your mission statement and what are your core values? And I'm like, I don't understand what my core values have to do with flipping some houses. This is stupid. And I was so irritated because it didn't feel like that fit into what
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what to do with my business. And that bit me in the behind, because let me tell you, my core values didn't match up with the core values of the person whose system I wanted to get into, and it ended badly. Duh.
I I totally forgot about that. That we did that at that meeting. It was Courtney's meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And had I said, and I didn't even want to say anything at the time, because I had the feeling that Courtney was going to be like, this is important and you need to do it, because Courtney knows what the hell she's doing. And I'm over here going, I don't understand why I need to do this part. And I knew I was going to sound like an idiot, so I didn't say anything. But in my mind, I was having resistance against that. And what did it do? It bit me. So
Yeah. I
be
guess you're right. I haven't really, I haven't really, again, I think that that's me, my personality. I know that I can balance myself pretty well between people and how they do things and how they work. Um, and I try really hard to just kind of pluck myself out of things because I just, when I see something happening, I'm like, oh God, like that's just not gonna go do well or go well. And I've been criticized. I know in my past how I kind of just drop stuff and I like don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. Well, because I know kind of where it's headed and I'm not going to be a part of it. So, but yeah, there is something to say about really knowing. You start to really, as an entrepreneur, even if you're just starting out, and sometimes like you may be a seasoned entrepreneur, but you do learn a ton about yourself as you're running your business,
yeah,
because you start to really kind of figure out like who, as a person, and and within society and community. I mean, community to me, it means a lot.
yes,
Um, so, how does this, how am I going to impact, or what's going to be my, yeah, what kind of a difference am I going to be making? That's me. And there are a lot of people that kind of do that kind of self-evaluation. Then you have some folks that really don't care. And and those, and I feel like it just, and there's a difference, but at some point or another in your trajectory within your entrepreneurship life, you will ask yourself these questions.
yeah,
And that's when you kind of know, like, okay, so this is really what I want to do. This is the kind of work I want to do. This is what I want to impact. And that's that. And once you kind of figure that out, I feel like things really start to kind of just, they fall into place. They really do.
yeah, yeah, they do. And knowing those things about yourself, being clear on that, is going to help you make better decisions about who you should partner with and how, because like it's not a perfect world. Like you're never going to align 100%, with everybody. And that's fine. But also I think that a lot of people will make this mistake because what will happen is you will prioritize doing business or growing your business to a certain level over like personal feelings. But what happens when you do that is that you are probably ignoring red flags that are,
Yeah.
and so that's when you need to be mindful, right? Of am I seeing red flags and I'm choosing to ignore them because what I think is that it will get my business up here? Because I can tell you from my, experience that I saw red flags. I went through with the partnership anyway. It did not actually give me the return that I thought that it would. Um, and it didn't get me to the level that I thought that it would get me. And I continued to try to put time and energy and effort into it to make it better. But when you're doing that in a collective, you're not necessarily going to get where you need to be because the others in the collective need to be willing to do that too.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And so to me, what I learned is once you see those red flags and then you realize that, okay, I saw the red flags and I went against that intuition. All right, I did that. But now it's like, oh, I saw the red flags. I went against the intuition and I'm not getting where I want to be. At that point, you need to have the strength to go, I need to go in a different direction and
Yeah.
not worry about, I can't let these other people down because this is your livelihood. And if you start doing the thing about, I can't let these other people down because I gave my word that I would do this, you have to remember the other side of it. In a collective, other people give their word about what's going to happen. And if that's not happening, it's okay for you to say, I'm not in the space that I need to be, so I have to find something else to do for my business. And I failed in that particular arena because that's not easy to do.
No, it's kind of like when you quit, you're going to quit a job and you're like going back and forth about how you should do it. I mean, some people have no problem.
Right.
I am not that person. I know that I have to weigh the pros and cons and make sure that the place I leave, that they are in perfect shape before I, bow out. But as I've gotten older, I've also learned that it doesn't really matter. Once you leave, they're gonna continue their work and you're just gonna continue your work. So done. So yeah, I think now you do get to a certain point, there's an age, I feel like also. I
Yes.
wish I would have learned this before though, where
Too.
I could care less and just,
Yeah.
whatever kind of thing.
So,
Yeah.
so it is possible, and this may happen to you. It is possible to overinvest into your relationships that you believe are going to get you somewhere in the business.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to watch that the same way that you watch your budget on a flip, right? You don't want to overinvest on the flip. That doesn't get you anything in return, right? So
No, it isn't.
you want to watch what you're doing in the business relationships. You want to invest appropriately and in the right people, and you want to trust your gut. You want to make sure that you're not ignoring red flags, and you don't want to overinvest when you see that the things that you're doing aren't yielding results, or you feel like you may be taken advantage of or something like that. Done.
Done. Yeah. Yeah, you have to really kind of, again, you're investing in your business, you're investing in yourself. So,
Yeah.
and I think all of this is, although it doesn't necessarily need to be monetary when you're investing in your business. If there's a lot of things that you are putting into it, and it's a lot of work, but it is definitely, I feel that it is worth it, and it's the sense of accomplishment when you do something and it comes to fruition, and everybody, a great, whatever the outcome is, it's a great outcome. It's just, it's awesome. Like the feeling is really, really good. So, and if that's what drives you, then cool. Like entrepreneurship might maybe for you. There's times where I question it. Believe me, there's times where I'm like, what am I doing? But you just kind of keep, plowing along and
Yeah.
doing and learning a lot from
Yes.
obviously past, lessons and whatever, good things and bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all you do is you just keep applying knowledge, keep progressing, keep adjusting. And eventually you get to a place where things are, kind of running, and you've
Hmm.
got a little bit of momentum, and you've got, you've kind of got a set thing that's
Yeah,
going, and you just maintain. But you have to get to the point of maintenance, and that can take a little while, and it can be tiring, but
absolutely.
it comes.
It's worth it. I feel it's worth it. And once you do it, again, but a lot of it is a lot of investment of time, a lot of investment of building, and and there is some monetary investment, even in the beginning.
Yeah.
Even when people say no, that there's not. Yes, there is. If you really think about it and look at it, you are. You're investing gas, you're investing time, you're investing, there's a lot of things that you're doing. So know that that it is a good thing to invest in the business, in your business. It's a must. You
It-
have to.
yep, that's how you level up, that's how you get results.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, I think that's a lot of food for thought for a holiday weekend. So whenever when you're grilling your hamburgers and hot dogs and watching fireworks, if that's a thing that you do, then you can be thinking in the back of your mind about how you want to invest in your business when the
Yes.
holiday is over.
Yeah, exactly. When you're having your hot dog. Henrik asked me, he's like, so what is 4th of July food? And I'm like, what is all the food in America? I'm like, hamburgers and hot dogs. I'm like,
Yep.
if you're back east, you might have like some sort of a clam bake or like a, more seafood, affair kind of thing. I'm like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
So yes, but here in the desert, I think for the most part, most of us do a lot of grilling.
A lot of grilling. Yep.
A lot of grilling.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm bracing myself for the number of fireworks that we'll be hearing all night tonight and tomorrow night, because the end of the block there's a giant fireworks stand that has just been selling like crazy. So
Oh, I know. We here because we're in Scottsdale, so we're and I don't know if they're doing them this. I'm not really sure what's happening. I know that there's fireworks around. I just don't know where,
yeah,
because it's usually one of the ballparks down the spring training ballpark, I think, or Talking Stick. There we go.
yeah, I'm not sure if anyone's doing professional ones this year. So my concern was that being if that's unknown, that people are going to go extra hard on the fireworks at home.
I know. I know. It's
So
just, I'm just lucky that my dog and the cat are like, they don't care.
yes. Yeah, luckily my dogs don't care too much either. It's more me. I'm throwing the fit because I'm like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah, it's a little late. That is a little late.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but I'm hoping, whatever it is that anybody is doing, everybody be safe out there. And it is a dry summer, so please be careful. Don't set anything on fire.
yeah, yeah, definitely watch that. Yeah, so be safe. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th. Yep. Independence Day. Entrepreneurship equals independence.
Yes, ma'am. All
Yep.
about that independence. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so we will be back next week with some
Yes.
topics.
With some different topics, and we'll figure out the days, we'll post them and all that. It's been a crazy, crazy week, I think, for both Lisa and I, because there's a lot of business stuff that we have to take care of, like taxes and and getting properties on the market and all that good stuff. So thank you for bearing with us and joining us today.
Yes, yeah, we will try to keep to a schedule again. It's not always easy when you're running multiple businesses and have multiple things going on, but
Exactly.
we try. And luckily, this stays up on Facebook, so you can catch us on the replay if it's not convenient for you when we're live. And we'll see you guys after the holiday.
It's the holiday. Happy 4th. Bye, guys.
Bye.